Welcome into the Roll Jays podcast, coming to you live after Creighton's massive victory over Xavier tonight. The Jays win 98-57. And Casey, I don't know how else to sum this up other than to call it the Austin sports game. I mean, he had an absolutely monster performance. Austin with a career-high 27 points tonight, 7 of 13 from 3, 10 of 17 from the field. Listen, we've been labeled the nitpicky show, so I guess we got to nitpick a little bit. He didn't get to the free throw line. Austin, that's the one thing we can say about you tonight that you didn't do. You had an absolutely fantastic game, 7 rebounds as well, 4 assists. He did have the 2 turnovers in the second half, and the Jays finished with 12 turnovers after just having 1 in the first half. But listen, it was going to balance out eventually, right?
For sure. I mean, he was phenomenal. So much fun to watch him. It looked like, he was having fun out there. And, yeah, I mean, I didn't realize people were calling us the nitpicky show, but I love it because, I think it's really fun when you can be a part of games like this, and then you can kind of nitpick. There's Coach jumping in. He'll be able to tell us. Let's get him in here. Actually, here we go. What's up, Coach?
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing? Everything good?
Yeah, hold on. We're having some technical difficulties. We don't have you on the screen yet. There we go. All right, Coach. There you are. Hey, DK. Obviously, I mean, we'd love to give you some thoughts on what you guys could do better, but tonight was pretty clean.
Yeah, I mean, Mac reiterated to the guys in the locker room that it was kind of one of those games where it looked like we were connected both on the defensive end of the floor and also the offensive end of the floor. We had obviously numerous assists on most of our baskets. The guys really shared the basketball. And I thought defensively, we had a few mistakes there early in the first half, gave them a couple buckets. But from that point on, I felt like we really locked in and made the game really difficult on them.
Yeah. How much did you guys talk coming into the game about communication, anticipating that the crowd was going to be into it and it's a tough place to play? But how much talk was on the communication, and then how encouraging was it to see? I mean, you guys were talking on defense, but also on offense. It was really fun to watch.
That's a good point. That's been a huge thing for us this season, is to get our guys to communicate and talk more. We have a great bunch of guys, but it's a little bit of a group that's kind of quiet.
Hey!
It's kind of a quiet. We let Murph slide in there for a second.
Hey, tell him congratulations on showing his actual face and not just his forehead.
Don't say that.
But no, it's one of the main things on our list is to get our guys to communicate and talk more. I mean, there's times where ball screen would come and we're trying to rectify it where the big wouldn't let the guard know until it was already happening. And Mac did a great I don't want to call it a drill yesterday, but a great thing to tell him. He said, on this possession, you cannot speak defensively. And the other team came down, 1 ball screen, throw it back to him, 3 ball. And he said, okay, so I asked you not to speak. How crazy is that? So just imagine if I'm asking you to talk, that you need to speak and communicate on defense. I thought, it wasn't perfect, but I thought we did a better job of that this evening, which led to good defense leads to good offense, and good offense leads to good defense. We weren't taking the ball out of the net every time. So I think that helps our transition offense.
It's crazy you point that out because we were talking in the halftime, and Casey had just mentioned that when he started the game, he didn't have the sound onto his TV, but he could tell the communication was better. Obviously, he's got a little bit more than the untrained eye may have, but obviously that's something that played a role tonight, and just being able to maybe even close your eyes a little bit and know what's happening without even really being able to do much about it.
Well, and Casey can attest to the Creighton way is on the offensive end of the floor, you have to be vocal and loud and let your teammate know maybe where you are. Mac and the staff stresses 1 mores, which is basically taking a good shot and trying to turn it into a great shot. And we probably had more one mores tonight and more communication 1 mores than we've had all season. And so it was nice to see. And then to see guys raise up and make the 3 ball. Austin, Josh, IT, Nick Graves came in and made some threes. So it was really good to see, when you make the extra pass and it's a good shot and you get a great shot, usually it goes in. It's an amazing thing about basketball, especially at the college levels. When you make the right play and the right pass, the guy usually makes the shot.
I thought the passing was outstanding tonight. Not only actually the physical pass, but the willingness to pass. And the ball was popping. The ball was reversing very easily. But one of the things that really stood out to me tonight, DK, was you guys threw the flip up a little bit on the PNR, kind of knowing it wasn't going to be necessarily a true lob, but just come down with it, finish. There were a couple, I guess, that were more true lobs, but it just felt like that was something, and maybe it would just work tonight, but it just felt like it was something that was like, all right, we're gonna make it a point to get this in our offense tonight because it's so important. Am I crazy?
A little bit. No, I'm just playing.
Go ahead, tell Derek. Go and tell.
You've been around. You've been around kind of the program for quite some time, and one of the important things of our offense is getting that kind of lob, flip up, whatever the average fan might want to call it. And so to see Owen get a few tonight, Jason Green got a bunch of them. It was nice. That kind of adds an extra layer to your offense is when you can get
no doubt
put pressure on the rim and our guards. Listen, it's not like we haven't kind of drilled it, spoken about it, and tried to get our guys better. And then when we had Ryan for 5 years, it was just more natural, obviously, and he got so much better at it. And so these guys are in year one of playing how we play, and I think they're improving. Owen looked like he's getting in better shape and moving a little more freely on the court. So I don't know. Hopefully, this is a good step in the right direction to give our guys some confidence that if we play the way the coaches are asking, and we do things the right way, that there's going to be some success at the end of the tunnel.
Massive.
You mentioned that about Owen. Jimmy and I were talking at halftime, and I have a take on this, that moving him to come off the bench is allowing him to play as hard as he can for the minutes that he's in the game and not have to conserve himself thinking I might have to play 30 minutes tonight.
Well, go on, I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking when you can flip the mentality, especially coming off of an injury like he is, where he's really not in true basketball shape. I think it plays more to his advantages that he can just play hard and know, all right, Jason, or we're going to sub in here in a couple of minutes. I'm going to give it all I've got, because he looked more like the Owen that we saw last year tonight.
Well, and I think it takes a little bit of pressure off him also. Listen, expectations are high in Omaha and for the Creighton program. Mm-hmm. And I think he has high expectations for himself. The media, gave him high expectations. And so I think it gets him to just relax, settle down, get your body and get in great shape, play confident, go out there and enjoy basketball, which is sometimes it's difficult for college kids that have like a lot on them. And it was nice to see the guys play with, like you said, communicate, but also play with a smile. Like, have some fun. You have to enjoy it. You have to go out there. You're competing at a high level. You're playing in front of however many fans. You're on national television, and so go enjoy the game. And
I texted Trey during the game because they showed him on TV, and he's kind of frown on his face. You guys are up 34. I texted him. I said, "Hey man, you're allowed to smile when you're up 30. So tell Trey that as well, Coach."
Well, I'm going to let him know. I think he was stunned.
He might have been.
I think a lot of people were.
Right.
Hey,
I mean,
one of the things that we kind of talked about at halftime too was assigning roles to and letting guys. Yeah, I'm assuming Casey just got that text message.
He did. No, he just texted me back and said it didn't feel real. So yeah, you're right, DK.
Right.
Hey, one of the things we talked about at halftime is assigning roles to guy, and how much of what we saw tonight. Listen, it's only one game, small sample size, right? But how much of tonight was a little bit more due to guys understanding maybe what their role is on this team with limited minutes and cutting the rotation down a little bit too.
I think that is kind of important as role allocation of letting guys know, where they stand, what's expected out of them, and then also, if you don't reach those expectations or you're not falling into your role, then you're gonna, not play as much. That's the way it works in college basketball. So, and then I thought we've had good practices, even throughout the whole kind of ups and downs of the season. I thought we were really good this week of paying attention to detail and, trying to do what the game plan was on both ends of the floor. And it's nice to see the guys have some success when things come together a little bit.
Absolutely. Now, I don't want to turn the page because I feel like this is a lot of fun to talk about this one.
We need to relive this one for a while.
Yeah, but it is conference time, and so it's you can't celebrate for too long. You got Marquette, coming in this weekend. Coach, I mean, you're a head coach. You're a really successful player. How do you turn the page quickly and not spend too much time and thinking, okay, maybe we figured this thing out, where like our mentality has to be the same way it's been since you walked off the floor against Kansas State?
I think you maybe, get a chance to celebrate through tonight, just kind of on the plane and on our way back. And then when you wake up tomorrow, feel good about yourself that we got a nice win. We're 1-0 in the Big East, but I would say your focus as a player has to quickly move on to Marquette and get ready for that game with only 2 days prep time. As a coach, And you know how we do things here. I was already watching film today. So sometimes you get confused. You're watching film on the next game, as you're about to play this one. So I'm yelling fist, and it's, thumb. It's thumb. So, but yeah, we'll be prepared. I think, I think we're usually do a pretty good job of preparing the guys. We don't always execute, but I do feel like they kind of know what's coming and what we're trying to do to win the game.
Always prepared.
When we talk about not letting the team get stagnant, what are some of those things that you guys can put into place? And like you mentioned, just 48 hours before you got to turn this thing around to make sure that, hey, okay, we did this once. We got to stack games here and make sure this is something that we're doing repetitively going forward.
Well, you could just remind them how it feels like when you're on the other end of it, because we've had a few of those this year.
Sure.
And so, like, let's feel the way we felt tonight more times than not. I mean, I feel like our guys kind of understand what's at stake here, and that they've done a good job. I mean, we're not a perfect basketball team, but when you share the basketball, you commit it to game plan on defense, and you make some threes, all of a sudden it loosens things up, and we become a better team. I mean, you saw it even against Kansas State. I mean, we put the ball in the basket. We kind of made a couple good runs there. We just never were able to get over the hump because of the 18-point half-court deficit,
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, in games like this, too, I always felt like Coach does such a good job of taking advantage of the fact that you did win to where he can sort of nitpick some of the things he'd like to see get cleaned up because the confidence is going to be high from the win. So you can take this time to, call out a couple of things that maybe wouldn't normally call out if the energy was low. So
yeah, we'll do some video on things that we executed, and then some things that I felt like could have got better. I'll do one probably on defense, and maybe Hustle do something on offense, or just to kind of give the guys, all right, we were great here, and here, but we also can get better here. Like maybe the side ball screen defense a few times. The big kid made 2 threes. It was kind of like a late stick hand, and then couple offensive rebounds, and to start the game we made 2 mistakes where they made 3. So those are things that'll go on the do not do list per se, and then we'll go from there. But we have more good than bad tonight, just so everybody understands that.
I want to ask about the main good. Listen, Austin Swartz had the game of his career tonight, a career high 27 points. He was shooting with confidence. He was distributing the basketball. To your point, he was rebounding as well. What did you guys see out of Austin leading up to this game that kind of gave you guys the confidence he could have a performance like this?
Well, first of all, you have to earn the staff's trust and Coach Mack's trust in practice. And, he had been a little up and down at different junctures, but he strung together, I would say, a couple really good weeks of committed practices. He's been in the gym shooting extra. And it seems like he was starting to really mature as a person and a player as far as how good he wants to be. And then I feel like the Nebraska game, even though he didn't play, the team didn't play great and all that stuff, I felt like he had some good plays there that kind of gave him some confidence to show that he could do it. And he looks like, one thing about Austin, and I think the average fan can tell, is that he actually has really good basketball IQ. He was one throwing a lot of those flip-ups. His thing is just to stay laser focused and say, I'm locked in, for a day, which turns into 2 days, to a week, to a month. And, I don't think he's ever really had to do that because he was always more talented in high school. His situation at Miami last year,
exactly.
Coach L retired, and then a couple guys got hurt, and it kind of wheels fell off the squad. And, one of my best friends was the guy who took over for Coach L, and he was just saying, like, listen, Austin's got a chance to be a really good player. He's a great kid. And so we kind of knew what we had in store for us as far as the type of person he was, and now he's just putting it all together.
Cool. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on with us, and it's always a good time when we can talk to you after a win. And now we get to fly home and enjoy this one, and then we'll see you Saturday for a big one.
Always a pleasure, guys. Appreciate it.
I'll expect a fist bump at courtside. See you, DK.
You already know that. Later.
See ya.
That's great assistant coach Derek Kellogg reporting in after a 90-plus point performance from the Jays. They're too shy of 100. I guess we're going to continue to nitpick. We'll nitpick that. They didn't get to triple digits tonight. But, Case, obviously, this is something I don't think if you even had a crystal ball, you'd have felt confident in the outcome of this one. I hate to say it, but we harped on this before the season. Listen, we weren't thinking this the last couple weeks, but we said this coaching staff with this guy at the top and the guy sitting in chair number 1 next to him and all the familiar faces down the bench.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody was going to figure out, and listen, this is a small sample size. This is one game, but this is what a lot of people expected this team to look like before the season started. you could stack this together in a couple of games before you get to the lion's share of your schedule, you feel a lot better about you did maybe 2 or 3 days ago.
No question. I mean, Jimmy, we've said it plenty. Like, you can't look. Stop trusting Coach Mack at your own peril.
Yeah,
like, he's gonna figure it out. Here, the thing about Mack too is like he's been around it so much. Like, he knows kind of the strings that you can pull and your options. And I think for a little bit, I don't know that they really like knew what to do in terms of what string to pull when, and they were just trying to figure it out. And eventually they got here where
they're basketball coaches, not magicians.
Yeah. Where, and like, because the thing is, when you have the expectations that you have and you're trying, and we were still at that point playing for a high seed in the NCAA tournament. Now we're just playing to get into the tournament.
Yeah.
You don't want to be too drastic because you recruited these guys for a reason, and you believe that they can help you. And so when you just start throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, like, you can do that too soon. And I think what's happened is we just got to a place where it was like, all right, like, we're just going to do this because at this point there really isn't anything to lose. And, Mac found a lineup that's working. I mean, look, to me, the thing that stands out the most, like, we can look at the shooting, we look at the assists. To me, the thing that stands out the most is that since Mac's gone to this lineup, how many more hustle plays have you seen in the last 2 games than you saw in the previous, whatever we had played, 8 or 9?
Yeah.
Ty Davis, to me, has been the
10,
catalyst for that.
5 and 5. Yeah.
So,
great point.
Like, diving on the floor for loose ball. It's contagious. You saw it happen even later in the game. I think it was Jason Green. You're up 30 points and Jason's tiptoeing the baseline, trying to, getting one, but, back in bounds. Like, when you play hard and you get on the floor for loose balls and you just say to your opponent through your actions, like, I'm going to play as hard as I can. Will you? It's contagious. And the rest of the team responds, and they've responded. And what happens then is you get good energy. Shout out to Big East Energy. You get guys that are flying around, guys that are sharing the basketball. Like, and that's how you build and start to get confidence permeated throughout your team again, because this team had, it was down, right? I mean, your expectations were really, really high. And it's like, man, maybe we aren't what we thought we were. You needed somebody. And I have to tip my cap to Ty Davis, because I think he has been a huge part of the last 3 halves, we'll say, 3 halves of
sure
good basketball.
Well, and I think I don't like it, that's clearly surprising. You said that a surprising tone. I'm surprised by that. I think most people that were looking at the construction of this roster would be surprised by that statement. But what was the constant? When we talked about why guys were coming to Creighton, or why Nick Graves was coming here, or who, by the way, plays the same position as Ty Davis does, or Austin Swartz, or Owen Freeman, or Nick, I said Nick Graves, sorry, Josh Dix. Who were the guys that always got brought up? Yeah, Jackson McAndrews was at that time the highest rated recruit in Creighton history, and he's a shooter and he could score. But every single person, I feel confident if you go back and watch it, specifically named first Ty Davis. If he's giving you that effort off the court, it should not be that surprising that he's giving it to you on the court as well. It's just a matter of those things clicking. And I'm happy for Ty that it finally is. A minute ago, you mentioned that, away from the stat sheet, look at the effort plays, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You could see that on the stat sheet tonight. Creighton had 31 assists, and a lot of those were from the one more that Derek Kellogg just referenced a minute ago. But B, the effort in giving the pause and not getting lost in the moment and waiting and letting the play develop and seeing the floor and trusting the players around you to make those plays and making the effort to find them and not take the shots that you don't need to.
No question. I mean, again, besides a couple in transition, I felt like shot selection was really good. You like you were saying, you don't get that high of an assist number if you're not sharing the ball, if you're not being unselfish, if you're not looking to make plays for other people. But it was on both sides of the court tonight. And it was guys were in help side defense, guys were in the gaps, guys were talking and pointing. It was a team effort all the way around tonight. I think, when you look at Xavier's team and you look at like their strengths, Xavier doesn't turn the ball over. I think they were number 1 in the country in turnover rate.
I think they were 3.
Were they 3rd? Yeah. I mean, 14 turnovers tonight. Like, now, I will say this in the terms of the things that you're going to nitpick and Mac's going to nitpick. 11 turnovers in the second half. That's
sure
not good enough. Okay,
it's not, but and he's not going to say this, and I wouldn't expect him to. You have to consider the source a little bit. I mean, Creighton was feeling themselves, but again,
sure.
that's where coaching comes in at, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. Even when you're feeling yourself, we've got to be disciplined, because when things get tough, you're going to default back to the bad habits, because that's where you're comfortable at. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just an easy opportunity, because you're going to have their attention. Look, this is what always happens in these moments. The players are going to go in the film room tomorrow, and they're going to be expecting some really
some praise.
Yes, and so you're going to have their attention, and it's I don't know if you've heard the analogy or so, it's like a shit sandwich. So you know what I mean? Like,
it's YouTube, folks. We could say it.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably the first time I've sworn on air.
Yeah, I think so.
Sometimes my
Welcome
kids,
to the club.
well, my mother-in-law will watch this sometimes and text me.
What's your mother-in-law's name?
Mandy. I don't know if she'll watch this one.
Shout out to Mandy. Hopefully,
yeah. Shout out Mandy. Sometimes she watches and she'll text me. She loves me. I did a good job. So Mandy, sorry about that one. But anyway, the crap sandwich is, you start with something good, go something bad, and then you end it with something good, right? And so in this one, I do think you're going to go into it talking about sharing the ball, talking about the effort, talking about how they did you in points in the paint, and then you can work in your turnovers, and you can work in some of the things that you want to see get cleaned up, and you can finish it off with something good. They leave the film room feeling positive, ready to go for the next opponent. But I do think they got to clean that up. There were a couple shots taken that I was like, heat checks, I know, but the thing to me was Trey Carroll was an absolute non-factor tonight. 7 points. Yeah. Coming into this game, he was trending to being, like an all-conference level player. So to hold him to 7 tonight, I thought was outstanding. We've talked about it. I like Malik Moore for them. He had a really, really nice game, 14 points, 5 boards tonight for them. But other than that, really nobody else. I guess Roddy Anderson kind of got going a little bit with 10. But, I just felt like all around. Look at our points in the paint tonight. 42 points in the paint for us, 28 for them. And they're a really big 3-point shooting team. So I didn't expect them to get a lot in the paint. But what we've seen all season is people attacking us, attacking the rim, scoring at the rim. And we were not, we actually held tonight. And that was nice to see, that as well. So many positives, obviously shooting 48% from 3. If we could just say, we'll do that for the rest of the year, we'll be pretty good. As John B 23X said, props to Creighton, would have beat anybody in the country tonight. I kind of agree.
Don't disagree. Yeah.
Kind of agree. It was a good night.
And that's why the expectations for this team were as high as they were, is when things were clicking on all cylinders, this is what you expected it to look like, right? And again, it goes back to everything we discussed before the season, is like, is that a realistic expectation for all of these new pieces, and Owen Freeman coming off the injury, and Nick Graves coming in, and Josh Dix coming back to his hometown, but he's never played in a Creighton jersey before, and Nick Graves being asked to do things that he never did at Charlotte, and can Austin Swartz step up into a starter role eventually and find his way there? Is like, that's a lot of ifs. And then to also say, well, this is expected to be a Final Four team, and Greg McDermott's quote possible last year as well.
They are. I mean, the expectations were astronomical. And look, if you're a player and you're a coach, like, you want the expectations to be high. But it's, somebody said this, I remember hearing this before, it's like the expectations weren't necessarily set by the players or set by the staff. Like, you didn't see anybody from the staff. And no, for sure. But you feel it. You can't help. There's just no way to be insulated from all the outside noise, and you hear it when it's negative too.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I really do think, man, moving Owen to coming off the bench, moving Nick coming off the bench, I love the move, and I just think it's taken some pressure off of them and kind of let them, like, all right, well, this is my role. How do I be a star in my role? And tonight, I feel like you saw 2 guys that gave it everything they had. They played well. I mean, I thought Nick was good, 5 assists tonight. Like, It's easy sometimes, and when you get in games like this, when you're up 30, it's kind of easy to play good, right? Because
Sure.
all the momentum is going your way. But
it's
I
also,
felt like they stayed in the system, right? They
Yeah.
didn't, there are a couple here and there. It was like, all right, now kind of calm down. But for the most part, I felt like they stuck with the game plan from tip to the final buzzer, and really demoralized that team tonight. It was, I mean, barely. How much did Trey Carroll even play? I mean, 17 minutes total. Like that's really interesting, to see. I mean, and I'm not in any way insinuating that they gave up, because I don't think they ever gave up. In fact, I feel like they played hard the whole game. But I think at some point the white flag was waved, and so
absolutely.
when you can go into Cintas, look,
And
man,
honestly,
that's a
kind of feel like
freaking hard place to
it
play.
was the probably 17-minute mark in the second half where Patino calls the timeout, and he kind of just did one of those things. The guys walking off the court. And listen, this is the conversation we were just having after the Kansas State game. Okay, well, we got to find out who our dudes are, and obviously, Messina Moore and those guys are pretty well established, but you got to find out who your role players are too in this team. And for
Agreed.
our friends over the Roll Blob podcast, probably trying to figure that out right now as well. But for Creighton, like, this is and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, because this is a private conversation you and I had before, after the Colorado State game. I looked at you and said, you got to find a way to put Austin Swartz in the starting lineup. But there's always going to be a discussion of NIL and where that factors in. We don't know how much everybody's making. I mean, it's not all public knowledge, but at some point, like, the cream is always going to rise to the top, right? And I'm not saying that Austin is head and shoulders above everybody, and obviously he was better than most tonight, but you've got to find a way to not only to evaluate who your best players are, but who they gel with too. And the way that Creighton was rotating guys out of necessity to find out what they had, it maybe they overachieved in some sentiment, because of all of the things we just talked about, having to get ducks in a row. Again, this is just one game, but if this is a look into the future, it kind of feels like they figured it out.
They definitely are trending in that direction. And I think it's a lot of that starts with just getting confidence. And so I think you see that there's a lot of confidence right now, which is awesome. It's so much more fun to watch a team that feels like they can win. And, with Austin, I think he plays really well with Josh, and he plays really well with Ty Davis.
Yeah.
And, again, going back a few weeks, is we had talked about this. I think I said it on the show. I felt like at that time, if Nick Graves was going to be our leading scorer, we weren't going to be very good.
Sure.
And I didn't mean that as a knock on Nick at all.
That's just not what his game is.
Exactly. And it looked like to me he didn't understand what the role of the point guard spot is here. And I think we saw that over a few weeks.
We gave Ty his flowers, and I think that was absolutely deserved. Nick Graves played a hell of a game tonight. He finished with 12 points, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, 4 of 6, and had five assists. And I agree with you that Ty was the spark plug for the hustle plays. I think for the distributing the basketball standpoint, I think that's where Nick outshined just about everybody on the court tonight. And obviously he led the team in assists. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm talking about the moments in which he did it, and when he was, because that was the knock we had on him after the Kansas State game, was there was those 3 plays where he just missed Owen Freeman, like not missed him by threw the ball too far. Didn't even see how open he was and was streaking to the basket. Now, there's also a possibility you can run 2 separate point guards here that do 2 different things, do 2 things differently, but also complement each other, and that's where you got to kind of work your magic as a coaching staff.
Yeah, for sure. But I think what you were saying earlier is finding guys that play well together. And it's not that Nick and Austin and Josh can't play well together. It's not that. But it's, to me, when you go with Ty, you go with Josh, and you go with Austin, to me, it's very clear you're looking to have the ball. You're looking to have a facilitator. You're looking to have energy. You know that you're going to get some offense from Josh and Austin. So you don't necessarily, it's only one ball. You don't need a bunch of offense from your point guard in that spot. And so, and again, I just think it relaxes Nick a little bit to come off the bench. But anyway, I think the point is that they've found a little bit of a rhythm together. And I'm hopeful that Blake can find his way about him. I thought he was okay tonight. 5 rebounds, which I liked, 5 assists. Like, I thought he had some really, really good moments. I hope that he can find his way in this kind of mess right now, because I do think they're still trying to figure out, lineups. because I mean, theoretically, you still have Hudson.
Yeah.
That's coming back, and how does that impact it? So all good, really good problems to have, but to see what we saw from Austin tonight, and I thought he was okay against Kansas State as well. I mean, I think if you're a Jays fan right now, like you're obviously feeling a heck of a lot better right now than you were 2.5 hours ago when that game was about to tip off.
Yeah,
and
for
you
sure.
didn't know what was going to happen. So I think we've seen that we're capable. Now it's just a matter of can we string it together. And look, Marquette hasn't been very good, but they're coming into our gym with the same kind of mentality as we did tonight. With there's nothing to lose here, so go out and be the harder playing team, and see what happens. So Saturday night's going to be it'll be really fun, but it's an important game.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thought process going forward. They're all kind of important at this point because obviously usually the magic number is 21, right? Usually if you can get to 21 in a Power 5 league, you can get into the dance, right? Despite, usually, again, the caveat there is that's usually the case if you're in the Big East, the Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, etc. You can usually find your way in at 21 wins. Now there are 26. I think there's 26 games left in the schedule. You're already at 6 wins, so you got to find a way to win 15 of these. And obviously, you want to win at least one of the UConn St. John's. If you can split those two, you're gonna feel a lot better about your chances. If you can sweep one of them and get to 21, you're probably in. With that being said, I think even if you get split the series with those two teams and only get to 20, you're probably going to be looking at maybe even those last 4 out, first 4 in type situations.
If you split with St. John's and UConn,
yeah, and get to around the 19-20 mark, like that's going to be some heavy sledding because
it depends on your losses.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing with the league right now. Is I mean, I don't know. I have to look up the rankings, but this is probably a quad 3 loss for them, maybe quad 4.
Yeah, for Creighton right now, Creighton's quad 3.
For Xavier, because Xavier's at home.
Yeah, yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what that would be, because and that's what I was talking to Mark about on our weekly show a few weeks ago. Is like Creighton is now a team, and that can change. We'll get a couple big wins and that changes, sure. But Creighton's now a team that's like, shoot, we can't lose these guys because it's going to kill our net ranking
right now for sure.
Right. And like,
hey, but they're also technically at the top of the ranking, at the top of the standings of the Big East, being 1-0. So,
yeah.
little bit of a caveat there. Yeah.
So was Butler the other day, right?
Well, they've got 1 loss. They're 1-1. So I mean, yeah.
But, I'm not very high on Butler, if you haven't noticed.
I figured that out very quickly. Yeah, but it's again, what does this team look like at the end of February? Because Creighton might also help some teams along the way if they're able to get this thing rolling and could stack some wins and go on a couple of runs here.
Yeah, the thing is, you got to win your home ones. That's why, to me, this one coming up Saturday, what I was saying earlier, I probably didn't give enough context to it, but is that you really do need to win your home games
because you're at home. Yeah,
because when in terms of
the ranking,
the quads change, so you really do need to win your home games, and so Saturday, like again, that's got to be a quad 4 game for us, right?
Yeah,
so like
Marquette
if you have
looked great,
yeah. So if you have any chance, and I think it's the margin for error is none for us, but if you have any chance of getting in without winning,
I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
Yeah, it's you cannot lose Saturday. You just can't lose. So it'll be interesting to see. I would hope that this also gives our fans some excitement and a reason to come out Saturday and be loud and make it a tough environment. Because I think you saw tonight, the first couple minutes the crowd is into it, and then it was over. Saw a lot of empty seats there in the second half. And I get it. I'm not knocking any Xavier fans, but it is way easier to play a game when you don't have screaming people for 40 minutes.
We've talked about it. I mean, it's the oldest cliche in sports. You got to take the crowd out of the game, right? Yeah. And there's a reason that's so important. It can win and lose you games, especially if you give the fan base a reason to get back into the game too. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's beyond important that Creighton wins on Saturday, because here's the thing. You also stack games too. And that's something this team has not shown it can do yet, is put a run of games together when they're facing adversity. And listen, just playing Big East games is facing adversity. Responding to a win is facing adversity. We did a show about it 2 weeks ago. Learning how to win. Can you take what you learned tonight in Cincinnati and make it portable, not only so when you come back home to Omaha, but when you go back on the road again? Because what you also don't want to do is you don't want to be labeled as the team that can only win on the road either, right? Like that's not going to help you because of everything we just discussed.
That's funny you say that, Jimmy, because I don't know that I've ever seen a team like that can only win on the road. That's
usually more unique to That's usually more unique to football.
Yeah. But no, I mean, you certainly would not be labeled that. I will give you that. But I mean, I think you're right. Like, that's what's so fun about the Big East is there really aren't. I mean, I don't think this year, but in the past, I will say that I thought it is, except for DePaul. Like, you do have to be mentally ready
for
every game.
Catching strays.
I'm sorry, I don't mean
that, Chicago.
I don't mean it personally. It's just the truth. Like, you kind of knew you're going to beat DePaul. I mean, honestly,
hey, did you feel that way with 5 minutes ago in the Big East tournament last year? I know I didn't.
No, I did not. That was a really, but I did with 0 minutes to go.
Yeah,
because of the big pal. It came through for us, but no, I mean, besides that though, it feels like, every game in this conference is going to be, going to be a battle. And I actually truly do believe DePaul's a good team this year. I think they've taken some lumps, but they're a lot better than they've been. And they're going to be a team that you've got to lace them up for and get ready. So I don't know, Jimmy, I think I might want to hop off here and watch the Roll Blob show.
Yeah. Do we join in and just start dogpiling on them? Is that what we do now?
In all honesty, that we did an
appreciate you guys doing that podcast without me with even asking if I could do it. I mean, listen, it's fine. It's fine.
We're getting it ready.
My feelings are not hurting anyway.
No, they shouldn't.
I'm not bitter about it.
They shouldn't
at all.
You're going to be on the next one. But it was a really fun show, I will say.
Oh, you had fun. Cool, great. You want to rub it in some more? That's great.
Well, it was the first ever energy exchange show, which we're going to be doing for people that are paying attention here. We're going to be doing these shows.
Big East Energy if you want to watch shows that I'm not on, apparently.
Please. There are some of those, but mostly they're together. And but we're going to be doing crossover shows with whatever team we're playing. We don't have a Marquette show, so if for some reason a Marquette fan's watching this and you want to start a Marquette pod, hit us up. But as we move forward in the season and we're playing opponents that we have a show for, we'll be doing an energy exchange shows, what we're calling those, and kind of previewing the matchup from both sides. So look out for those because that was a lot of fun talking last night.
That seems like the perfect way to get out of here. This has been the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. As Casey just mentioned, like and subscribe to Big East Energy to keep up to date on all things going on around the Big East Conference. I'm Jimmie Allen. That's Casey Matthews. We'll see you on Saturday at halftime and after the Marquette game where one of the Creighton assistant coaches will join us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Why you need to try Pepper Jack's Grill, the best Philly cheesesteak in America. At Pepper Jack's Grill, we craft your Philly just the way you like it. Fresh ingredients, sizzling on the grill, and endless customization options. Not just Phillies, we've got rice bowls, burritos, nachos, and even vegetarian choices. And don't forget those crispy fries with our famous spicy ranch. With 10 great locations in Omaha, there's a delicious meal waiting for everyone in the family. Pepper Jack's Grill, your Philly, your way.
At Pyramid Contractors, we do it all. From repairing or replacing your roof to updating siding, windows, or gutters. When you have a home improvement project, call Pyramid Contractors.
Pyramid Roof.